You know that thing on your wall that tells you what time it is? Yeah, that thing. It's not just a fancy decoration. It's a tiny time machine, and you're stuck in it. But how does it actually know what time it is? Is it like a psychic? No, it's more like a really good guesser with a lot of gears and a tiny brain. It doesn't just know the time. It tells you the time. Like, it's the only thing in your house that can tell you what time it is without you asking it. And if you ever look at a clock and feel like it's judging you, you're not imagining things. It literally sees you staring at it and thinks you're late.
So why do we trust this little time-telling machine? Because it's been around for centuries and it's never been wrong, well, unless it's broken. Then it's just broken. So what exactly are we talking about? Well, clocks are like the universe's way of saying, hey, time to get your life in order. They're everywhere, on your wall, your phone, even your fridge. They don't just tick and talk, they actually measure time, which is kind of like a really strict friend who's always on time and never late. But how do they do that? At their core, clocks are about movement. The hands spin around, the gears click, and the whole thing works like a tiny, mechanical dance party. But here's the kicker. Clocks don't just show time. They help us organize our lives, remind us when to eat, and even tell us when to stop being late for things. So when we talk about clocks, we're not just talking about time. We're talking about control, rhythm, and the little machines that keep us in sync with the universe. You think you just need to know the time to get through your day? Think again. Clocks are like the secret password to your whole schedule. Without clocks, you'd be stuck in a time loop, forever wondering if it's 10 a.m. or 2 p.m. And you'd miss your favorite show, your lunch, and your life. Clocks are the unsung heroes of modern life. They make sure you don't miss your flight, your meeting, or your nap. They're like a GPS for time. And if you ever find yourself in a situation where the clock breaks, you'll realize how much you've secretly relied on it, like a person trying to cook without a timer. So next time you check the clock, remember, you're not just looking at numbers. You're checking in with the invisible hand that keeps your life on track. So back in ancient Egypt, people used sundials to tell time, but only during the day and only if the sun was shining. They basically had to wait for the sun to rise and then count the shadows. Then came water clocks, like the clepsydra. These were fancy hourglasses with water instead of sand. They could measure time even at night, and they were way more precise than the sun. Then came the 1400 and the first mechanical clocks. They were like the cool, quiet, and precise cousins of the sundial. People could finally know what time it was without waiting for the sun. By the 1600s, clocks were in every home, and they were the original smart devices. You could set them, they could chime, and some even had little bells to wake you up. So really, they were the first alarm clocks. And then, of course, came the wristwatch, the ultimate timekeeping gadget. It was so convenient, you could tell time while doing yoga, cooking, or arguing with your boss, all without looking at a wall. So, clocks tell time because they have numbers and hands that move around in circles, like a big pizza slice. The little hand is like your mom. It moves slowly, telling you the hour, while the big hand is like your dad. It moves faster, telling you the minutes. When the big hand points at 12, that's like when your dad says, time for dinner. And the little hand says, it's 3 o'clock. So basically, clocks are like a giant fancy hourglass, but with numbers and hands instead of sand. And that's how clocks tell time, like a dance party of numbers and hands, moving around in perfect circles. So you want to know how clocks tell time? Well, first things first, you need a clock. But not just any clock, it needs to have gears, a pendulum, and a little guy named Mr. Clock who's always late, but never late enough. You know what's really cool? The whole thing starts with a spring. It's like a tiny, sleepy, coiled-up spring that's been told to wake up and power the whole clock. It's like a sleeping giant in a tiny box. Once the spring wakes up, it starts to power the gears. These gears are like the clock's inner muscles. They move the hands, the numbers, and even the little guy, Mr. Clock, who's trying to keep up with the time. But here's the kicker. The gears are all connected. If one gear slows down, the whole clock almost stops. It's like a chain of dominoes, one falls, and they all fall, except the dominoes are gears and time. So, in the first step, you've got the setup. The spring, the gears, the pendulum, and Mr. Clock, all working together to start the clock's journey through time. But hey, if he's late, it's not the clock's fault, it's the time. Okay, so now that we've got our gears and springs in place, let's talk about how they actually move. The spring is like a tiny superhero, winding up and pushing the gears around like they're in a tiny, mechanical dance. As the spring unwinds, it transfers its energy through a chain of gears, each one a little smaller than the last. It's like a relay race, but with metal and motion instead of runners. These gears are carefully designed so that they turn at the right speed and the right direction. It's not just any gears, it's a whole orchestra of precision engineering, all working in perfect harmony. Eventually, the movement reaches the minute and hour hands. They're like the final act of the show, slowly and gracefully moving across the clock face, telling us exactly what time it is. And that's it, step 2 done. We've got a ticking, turning, time-telling machine, all powered by the quiet, steady work of gears and springs. Okay, so here's the real trick. The gears are like a big game of Jenga. One tiny gear pushes the next, and before you know it, the whole clock is playing a symphony of motion. But wait, the second hand is actually the fastest one, zipping around like it's on a caffeine rush. The minute hand is slower, like it's on a lunch break. And then there's the hour hand, the slowest of them all, like it's been stuck in a time loop for centuries. But the real magic is that these gears don't just spin, they turn in opposite directions, so the clock doesn't look like a spinning top. It looks like a working machine. It's like a clock is a bunch of tiny dancers, all moving in perfect harmony, except one of them is always late for lunch. So here's the real magic. Clocks aren't just telling time, they're dancing to the rhythm of physics. They're using tiny, invisible forces to keep track of the universe's heartbeat. It all starts with something called a pendulum, a weight swinging back and forth like a metronome, perfectly timed to the Earth's rotation. Old clocks used this pendulum to measure seconds, while modern ones use atomic vibrations, like a clock made of a single atom, ticking at the speed of light. Even your phone's clock is powered by a tiny chip that's basically a super fast, super precise version of the pendulum, hidden inside your device. So next time you check the time, remember, you're seeing the universe in motion, all wrapped up in a tiny, ticking box. So imagine your clock is like a disco ball in a dance club, spinning around with all the lights, and the hour hand is the DJ, and the minute hand is the crowd. It's a party, and time is the beat. The DJ moves slowly, like a slow jam, while the crowd moves fast, like a breakdance. They're both part of the same song, just different tracks. So, in a way, the clock is like a disco club. It's fun, it's chaotic, and it's got a rhythm that keeps you in sync with the universe. And just like a disco ball reflects light in all directions, a clock reflects time in all directions. It's a party of numbers, and we're all dancing to the beat. Okay, hear me out. The Apple AirPods, second generation. Scan that QR code or grab it from the link in the description, and hit subscribe for more pics like this. So next time you look at your clock, just imagine it's a disco club, and you're the DJ or the crowd or the light, whichever makes you feel in sync. You ever notice how clocks have these weird little numbers? Like, why do we have 12 instead of 10? Well, it's not just because we're weird, it's because of the sun and shadows. Back in ancient times, people used the sun to tell time. So they made clocks that mimicked that, 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of night. It's like the universe gave us a clock already. So even though we have 24 hours in a day, clocks only go up to 12 because they're trying to copy the sun's rhythm. It's kind of like a clock wearing a sundress. And then there's the 24-hour clock, which is basically the clock's more mature, less confused cousin. It doesn't need to pretend, it just tells the truth. So next time you see a clock, remember, it's not just telling time, it's telling a story about the sun, the moon, and our ancient ancestors. Pretty cool, right? So here's the first myth. Clocks tell time because they're magical. No, really they're not. They just tick, talk, and pretend to be smart. Clocks don't have any real magic. They're just mechanical or digital systems that measure how long it's been since the start of the day. So the next time you see a clock, don't think it's a sorcerer. Think of it as a timekeeper with a lot of gears, or a computer that's been around since 1900. Timekeeping is serious business, but it doesn't need magic. It just needs precision, patience, and a little bit of science. So remember, clocks are not witches. They're just clever machines that help us figure out when to eat, sleep, and binge-watch YouTube videos. So here's another myth: that clocks only tell time because they're magical. But no, they're just really good at counting and keeping track. Clocks don't need spells. They need springs, gears, and a steady heartbeat, like the Earth spinning around the sun. The real magic is in the science, like how pendulums swing or how electricity makes hands move. So no magic, just math and mechanics. But hey, that makes it even cooler, right? You might think clocks are just for telling time, but they're actually hiding in your fridge, your phone, and even your microwave. They're everywhere, just waiting to make sure you don't miss your coffee. Your car's dashboard has a clock too, and it's probably been keeping time longer than you've owned the car. It's like a tiny timekeeper in your pocket, just trying to keep you on schedule. And don't forget your coffee maker. It has a clock too. It's like a time wizard in the kitchen, brewing your coffee exactly when you need it, not when you're ready. So next time you see a clock, don't just glance at it, look around. You're surrounded by timekeepers, all working silently to make your life run on schedule. So here's a real-world example that goes surprisingly hard. Trying to tell time on a digital clock when the power goes out. You're in a meeting, and suddenly, everything goes dark. You panic because you're not sure if it's 3:15 or 3:15 p.m. or if it's even the right time. You start checking your phone, but it's also dead. You're in a time loop. Eventually, you remember that clocks, even digital ones, have a backup battery. You wait for the lights to come back on, and suddenly, the clock flickers to life again. You breathe a sigh of relief, but now you're wondering, why did the clock have a backup battery? It's like it's got its own personal power plant. So, even though the clock was broken, it wasn't really broken at all. It just had a little backup plan, like a superhero with a secret power. You know those clocks that tick like they're trying to break a world record? Well, some clocks are so precise, they can measure time better than a heartbeat. There's even a clock that can measure time down to a fraction of a second, like a super accurate stopwatch for the universe. And then there's the clock that runs on solar power. So it's basically a sun-powered time machine. But the real extreme? A clock that runs backwards, just to prove that time is just a human invention. So next time you see a clock, remember, it's not just telling time. It's telling a story, breaking records, and sometimes just being extra. Okay, let's say your clock is a drama queen. It's stuck on 3:00 and it won't budge. You try to fix it, but it just groans and falls apart like a broken robot. You try to wind it, but it just spits out a puff of glitter and starts singing a 1980s power ballad. It's a disaster, and you're now part of the show. You try to reset it, but the clock has a mind of its own and starts counting backwards. You're now living in a time loop, and you're not sure if you're in 1999 or 2099. Finally, you just give up and throw it in the trash. You look at your phone, and it's 4:00. You're confused, but at least you're not stuck in a broken clock's timeline. So you think you know how clocks work. Think again. There's a whole world of timekeeping that clocks don't tell you about, like the fact that some clocks are actually wrong, but no one ever notices. It's not just the time that's tricky, it's the way we measure it. Some clocks are analog, some are digital, but all of them are just guesses about when the next second is supposed to come. So next time you glance at a clock, remember, you're not just seeing the time. You're looking at a whole universe of science, engineering, and a lot of people who just want to know what time it is. And if you ever feel like the clock is wrong, maybe it's not the clock. Maybe it's you, or maybe it's just time to take a break and enjoy the moment. So how did humans even figure out how to tell time? Well, it started with the sun, which is basically the universe's built-in clock. People watched it move across the sky and realized it was consistent, like a cosmic metronome. They started making shadow clocks, like the ones with sticks and sundials. It was simple, but it worked, like a time machine made of dirt and patience. Then came water clocks, or clepsydras, which were like the ancient version of a leaky faucet. They measured time by how fast water dripped, and it was pretty clever. But people kept getting more creative. They made hourglasses, which were like sand clocks, except the sand was the real MVP. And then came mechanical clocks, which were like the first true time machines. So, timekeeping was a journey from the sun to the sand, and eventually to the gears. And now, we have clocks that can tell time with precision, thanks to all those clever humans who figured it out. So, imagine a clock that only works on weekends. It's like a time machine, but for lazy people. You set it to 9 a.m., and it only starts counting time when you finally get out of bed. This clock doesn't know about Monday mornings or Tuesday afternoons. It just sits there, waiting patiently for the weekend to arrive so it can start ticking again. Some people call it the weekend-only clock. It's the kind of clock that would probably start a cult if it had a religious following. In the end, it's not really about time. It's about the power of rest and the quiet rebellion of sleeping in. And also, maybe, the struggle of Mondays. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end.